Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today on Head to Head we are looking at 3 different inflatable tube lights. Now, I did buy these with my own money, so these are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always. So let's go down to the ring to see which one will be crowned the champion. Okay, so before we begin, I am going to rule one of these out, and that is the Ambifol. After 8 hours, it did not charge to 100%. I believe I only got it to about 45–50% after an 8-hour charge. So it is immediately disqualified. And if you look, the Ambifol and the inknee, you're going to see are the exact same light. Obviously, they bought their lights from the same Chinese manufacturer and just had their names printed on it and their logos printed on it. So the Ambifol is out. We will not be looking at the Ambifol. We will be comparing just the two, the inknee and the NEEWER, as the Ambifol and the inknee work exactly the same. Okay, so let's take a look at what comes inside the box. Now, you do get the light itself. You get this little hand pump, which is useless. You get a USB A to C. The instructions, you get this weird, cheap little bag, and you do get this very odd magnetic thing that you're supposed to be able to screw a 1/4-20 onto. We'll talk about that later. Both of these come with exactly the same accessories. It is almost like they went to the same manufacturer and just kind of bought the same thing. I will say that the NEEWER's menus are slightly different. They're more in line with newer products. But let's go ahead and take a look at the operating systems. And taking a look at the build quality here, you have this little elastic hanging strap. You get a magnet down below and 2 magnets here that magnetizes to. And then looking at the controls here, you do get a port that covers the USB Type-C, and there is a port to cover it up, so you can use this with water around. And you do get a very tiny screen and some very odd clicky buttons here. Both of these are exactly the same. And flipping this around, you do get kind of a regular, your standard diffusion. You can see the LEDs through here. And you do get a single pump with a spring-activated nozzle for releasing the air. You'll just press this thing down. So let's go ahead and let's fill this full of air. Now, I am not going to put my mouth on these. I am, however, going to use the hand pump from the GVM tube cob tube light that I showed last week. You can see the review right there. But it's always good to have something like this around. So I like using this. And nice and easy. I'll just turn it on and let it inflate. And there we go. We'll quickly cover it up. And there we go. It is ready to go. Okay, so here we are in the menu system, and we'll hold the button and the power will go on. And you get this little airplane with an arrow. It does actually have a lock button here. So there we go. Now it's unlocked. Now, one thing I like about the inknee is they give you all the power readouts, your voltage, how many minutes you have. Right now at 1%, you have 24 minutes, which is not bad. We are at 100%. And then when you plug in a power bank, it'll give you all the readouts for the power bank, all the voltage and wattage and whatnot, and how many amps. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, this goes from 6,500 Kelvin all the way down to 2,700 Kelvin. And we shoot at a 39 in here, so we'll place it smack dab at a 39 and click the button. And then we can go ahead and power this thing up. And there we go. Super, super bright right there. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and hold this down like so. And now this thing does have a little special. If you just tap the power button here, it goes from 0 to 25 to 50 to 75 to 100. So it does have quite a quick mode here. And also in the, it does not do that. Unfortunately, it does not do that for the color, but it is pretty quick. And at 25%, we have about what looks to be about 6 hours of use time. At 1%, I misspoke before, at 1%, it was 24 hours. So there you go, there you have it. So at 50%, not bad, about 6 hours. So let's start going through the menu here. We'll go to about 15%, which will give us roughly about 11 and a half hours. So we're going to double tap the middle here, and then we can proceed through the menus. Now we've got our special effects here, some kind of flashing stars, then you got a double flash star, then you've got a single flashing star, then you've got your matte lightning, you've got another mode of lightning, you have one more slow lightning, and then you have your TV, then you have your faulty bulb, then you have an SOS, which I always wondered why there was an SOS on these, but okay. Then you have your paparazzi, then you have some kind of flashing alarm, not really sure what this is. It's not a police alarm, it's not red, nor can you really change the color. And then you have your HSI wheel. Now, why the HSI wheel is here? Well, we'll talk about that. But going into the HSI mode, you do have your up and down arrows, and you can press the center, you can press the power button for to jump up and jump around. So you can jump from 0 to 60 to 120 to 180, 240, 300, and then back to 0. So it does give you controls, and again, you can do that with the power as well. And there is the red. The RGB in this is super bright, so there you go. There you have it. And because I love a good blue, there is 240. It is not bad. Double tapping again, we go back into a kind of an HSI kind of shifting mode here. And that is it. That is your last special effect. So it is, oh, nope, I lied. You do get a police car after that shifting mode. You get some kind of heartbeat, then you get some kind of HSI heartbeat, and that is it. That is pretty much the end. We'll go all the way back up to the just the regular mode here, the regular CCT. Now you cannot loop around in this menu mode. That is one of the only downsides. And yes, you can magnetize this and attach it to a quarter 20. We will talk about this in the pros and cons later on, but now let's take a look at the NEEWER. So let's take a look at the NEEWER, and as you can see, this is exactly the same. It's got the rubber straps back here as the other one. It has a rubbery strap here, has 2 magnets here and 1 magnet there for basically magnetizing this to metal. And you can't see it, but it does magnetize fairly well. But let's go ahead and take a look at the screen here. Now my screen on this one is pretty scratched. Not really sure why it's scratched. Because it should be brand new. But let's go ahead and hold down the power button. It says NEEWER. And again, you do get this little airplane mode. Just hold it down again, and it should unlock. Now, pressing up on the arrow, that is how you change the color temperature here, the brightness here, and hold this down. And as you can see, it doesn't change over. It just stays on the same screen. I kind of like this better. Let's go ahead and double tap that. And we'll go ahead and select that. And so this does not have the double tap function. Okay, so this does have the double tap function. This will give you 0 power, 25, 50, 75, and of course 100. Unfortunately, there is no color temperature fast, but you can hold this down and it does go very, very quickly. So let's go down to 3900 because that is what we film in here. And what is missing from this menu is it does not give you all the voltage readout and all that stuff. It is just plain. So obviously NEEWER went in and put in their own menu system. So let's double tap here. And of course we get lightning, paparazzi, faulty bulb, explosion, welding. We get this kind of like flashing mode. Then we get an HSI flashing mode. We get a pulse. We get an HSI pulse. We get cop car. We actually get real fire in this. Now you can select it, and yes, you can change the color temperature. So if you do want a warmer fire or a brighter fire, you can absolutely have that. Double click again, and then you have the hue shift, the CCT shift. You have your INT shift. You have television, firework. You have party, And then you have your HSI mode now. One thing that I have noticed here, if we go into firework, there are no controls for the firework. You are just basically getting this. It's not multicolored what that firework should be. And then again in party, there's no control except for the brightness. So there you go, there you have it. Then we go into the HSI mode, and again, you can go up and double click here, and single click here, I mean. You can go ahead and single click, and it goes 25, 50, 100, 75, and then 100. And then you can click this and go right to 120, 180, 240, and I will say that this is a much nicer blue. Then you go to your 300, which is more purple. On the other one, the 300 was more red. And then 0 is red, and then 60. And then back to 120. So there you go. Double tapping again, and that takes you back to the beginning of the menu. So you can cycle all the way through either way. With the other one, you could not do that. Okay, so here we are with the newer, and as you can see, this thing is super bright. Not too bad. It is throwing off a heck of a lot of light. I could definitely see this as a key light. We're at 100% right now. Let's go ahead and double click here and go, whoops, single click, I'm sorry. Let's single click here and go to about 50%. There's your 50%. I could definitely see this just being just out of camera and being useful. Let's go down to 20. Oh, let's go down to 25% here. And this is telling you how much power you have, but it is not telling you your time. I like the other one that tells you your time. But here is, 20%. Here's 25% right there. And I could definitely see that being used even at maybe 20%. And here it is at 20%. So not bad. You probably want to use this probably no less than 25%. That would look fantastic for any kind of scene, depending on how close you can get. If it's just out of camera here, that is some nice light. So there you go. There you have it. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead, back up to 100. And let's get a reading. Now this should be at 3900 Kelvin. And I'm going to tell you now, this does not look like 3900 Kelvin. So we will just get a reading here. And the reading is, this is at 3900 Kelvin. This is reading 4027 Kelvin with a 2.3 green. So this is skewing very magenta. This is really skewing. Let's go ahead and see if we can't bring this down. I'm going to say try 34, and let's see what we get at 3400 Kelvin. And roughly around 3400 Kelvin, we're getting 35. So let's go up to 36 to see if we can come anywhere near 39. And we're at 37, so we'll go up to let's try 38 Kelvin here, 3800. And roughly around 3800, we're getting 3899. So, but we are getting a 2.4 green shift. So not color accurate at all. In fact, this is pretty bad, pretty far off. The delta UV is negative 0.0099. So you are getting a TLC of 97, but this thing is pretty off. So there you go. There you have it. Now let's take a look at the inknee. So here we are at 25%. With the inknee. It's doing an okay job. It feels like it's not quite as bright as the newer, but it is doing the job okay. And here we are at 50%, which looks very, very, very nice. And let's go all the way up to 100%. And that is also giving off quite a nice light. Now, this is at 3900 Kelvin, so let's give it the exact same test and see where it lies. And as you can see, this is at 3971K, and you're getting a 1.9 green. So the inknee actually has better color than the newer. So I would highly suggest the inknee here. Just seems to be better. So there you go. There you have it. And you are still off. The delta UV is negative 0.0081. You're still at a TLCI of 97. But this seems far more color accurate than the newer. Okay, so let's talk pros and cons, starting with the inknee. Now, the inknee obviously is the same as the Ambifull and any other brand. They obviously bought it from the same Chinese manufacturer as the Ambifull. So you are going to these are all probably from the same Chinese manufacturer, with the newer probably just tweaked their own menu, whereas the others didn't bother to. So let's talk about the menu system first. things are in an odd order here. Usually it's your CCT, your HSI, and then your effects. You have a whole slew of weird effects in the inknee, not very usable effects in the inknee that are kind of in between the two, and the menu doesn't wrap around. So there you go, there you have it. The next thing is all of them come with this weird thing here. I will tell you right now, a normal quarter 20 does not fit in here. Just to show you here, this is a little quarter 20 here. That's as far as I can get it in. It stops. It doesn't even screw all the way through. So the hole is actually too small. I will have to retap this hole or find something else to go in here. For some strange reason, it's not a true quarter 20 here. And of course, that does slap on with the idea of you could put a quarter 20 on here and then put it on a clamp. But again, because this isn't drilled out properly or it isn't properly a quarter 20, it does not work. And you do have this magnet, so you could magnetize it to a pole. I really wish they put a second one down here so you could do 2 of these and they gave you an extra one of these. That would have been far more useful than the way that it is made. So that is a huge negative. But going back to the menu system, you have a lot of special effects in here that are just useless. Useless and weird. Even like their police cop car doesn't really work. So there you go. There you have it. Very, very odd choices with this. And of course, the hand pump on all these suck. I would never ever use these. That's why I am using what came with the GVM, my GVM tube light for my cob light. A hand pump is going to be necessary for this. And I will tell you that these bags, these bags are very cheap. They're waterproof, but they are very, 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 very cheap. They feel like they'll hold up a little bit, but they're odd plastic. They feel like a shopping, like a good quality shopping bag plastic. So there you go. There you have it. That is the inknee. Now moving over to the NEEWER. And it's essentially the same light except NEEWER played with their menu system. So there you go. There you have it. The only negative I can really find about the NEEWER is the color is horribly off. It is at 3900 Kelvin. It is just way off the mark. I did test this at 32. I did test this at 56. This is not color accurate at all. So you will, if you're using a whole bunch of these, you will need to white balance your camera, which you should do anyway. But the color is very, 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 very off on these. Very magenta, very off. Now, with that said, I do like the, let's talk about the pros. And the pros are the RGB is so much nicer. The special effects are so much nicer. The menu wraps around so you don't have to go all the way back through everything. You do get some very nice special effects. Obviously, NEEWER got these and tweaked with the mechanics inside and made it more like their NEEWER products, which both the Ambifull and the inknee do not have. They have bizarre special effects. And I will say that the LEDs in this, the colored LEDs in this, the HSI is much richer than in these by a little bit. So there you go. There you have it. Now I will say the problem with all these, especially the Ambifull, which is why I disqualified it. The Ambifull took over 8 hours to charge. These took over 4 hours to charge. So just know that if you're traveling with these, you are going to need to charge these up a night or two, or a night or two before you leave. Because you could end up getting to your hotel room and finding out that these are dead. So you will need to charge them for over 4 hours, or you will need to carry a power bank with you. Keep in mind, when these things are about 30-40%, you're only going to get 50% power, even if you have it plugged into a VMAP battery or power bank. It is not going to give you full power when the battery is running low. Another negative thing here is as these get lower, they start to dim. So when they hit around 50%, when they go actually a little bit below 50%, like about 45, 40%, these are going to start to dim on you. They're just going to dim. You're not going to get as much power. So keep in mind that for the first 50% of power you're using, you will get probably the full, but then expect these to start dimming as you go on. So there's not a long-term case here unless you're running off a power bank or plugging them in, or you're using them with some kind of V-mount battery. So that is just a negative with all of these. Now let's talk about another negative, and that is these throw light everywhere. There is absolutely no grid made for these. There's no Velcro for it. There's no grid. I really wish there were. I think that that is a huge disservice in any of these inflatable tube lights, that they do not come with grids, nor do they offer grids, because with a tube light, you want to be able to control the light so it doesn't spread everywhere a lot of times. And these there's just no way to control these. So hopefully you can source a third party, or somebody will make one, or they'll start making one. But a grid is what is absolutely missing from these. There's just no light control. So from the cons to the pros, these things are made very well. They seem fairly waterproof. You do have a nice cap here on both of them. The controls are fairly intuitive. This is a little, this does feel okay. You can feel that you're pushing into a circuit board back here. But the controls do feel okay. I really do love this nozzle here. You can blow it up with your hand, with your little hand inflator, and then just press down on that and it deflates very nicely. When you blow it up and you pull out your inflator, it's not going to lose any air, unlike the Cobb tube lights, which I reviewed right there. You can go check out that review. But these are fairly easy to kind of squish, roll up, and throw in your suitcase. As you can see, very, very easy to just kind of roll up, get all the air out. Then you just kind of take your little bag here like so, and you're going to drop it in, and you're good to go. So at the end of the day, which one is going to be crowned the winner? And I'm going to call this one a draw. And the reason it's a draw is that while the Inknee has better color, and I like me some better color, it is still not accurate enough for me to turn down the nice newer menu system and the better special effects that are in the newer. I will say that the HSI looks a little bit brighter and crisper and more saturated. The menu system is much easier. It has some nice usable special effects. I will say that it is horribly off in color. So instead of 3900 Kelvin, you may need to drop a Kelvin down or two and definitely white balance your camera. But as far as travelability goes, these are kind of cool. I will say that the June stuff, I still prefer to take that with me, even though they don't fold as flat as this. They still are probably smaller than this, especially if you have the old Moelis G60s. Those are actually much smaller than taking something like this, even though this packs flat. I would still rather take the G60s than take something like this. Again, it is, once you put it in the bag, it is kind of bulky. But there you go. There you have it. Those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and these are new to me.